What if I told you that inside every old house, there's a room that remembers everything that ever happened within its walls? Today, I'm going to share the story of Maya Thompson, a girl who discovered that some doors should never be opened, and some secrets are locked away for good reason. This mystery will change how you think about the past, present, and the terrifying power of memory itself. Maya Thompson was 16 when her grandmother died and left her the old Victorian house on Maple Street. The house had been in their family for over 100 years, but Maya had never been inside. Every time she asked to visit, her grandmother would get a strange look in her eyes and change the subject. "Some houses hold too much history," Grandma Rose used to say. "Some memories are better left sleeping." But now the house was Maya's, and her parents had decided to move there to save money. Maya was excited. She loved old houses with their creaky floors and hidden corners. She imagined finding secret passages and forgotten treasures. She had no idea what she was about to discover. The Thompson family moved in on a rainy Saturday in October. The house was beautiful but strange. Every room seemed to whisper with the voices of people who had lived there long ago. The walls were covered with old photographs of family members Maya didn't recognize. But there was something ODD about the house layout. According to the blueprints, there should have been a room on the second floor between the master bedroom and the bathroom. But when Maya walked down the hallway, there was just a blank wall where the door should be. "Dad, there's supposed to be another room here," Maya said, pointing to the empty wall. Her father looked at the blueprints, confused. "You're right. That's weird. Maybe it was sealed up during renovations." But Maya's mother went very quiet when she heard this conversation. That night, Maya heard her parents whispering urgently in their bedroom. Maya couldn't stop thinking about the missing room. She measured the hallway and the adjacent rooms, and the math didn't add up. There was definitely a space unaccounted for. A room about 12 feet by 15 feet that simply wasn't accessible. She searched through her grandmother's belongings, looking for clues. In an old trunk in the attic, she found something that made her heart race. The original house plans from 1923. According to these plans, the sealed room was labeled simply as the memory room. Below the label, someone had written in faded ink, "Never open, never forget, never forgive." Maya showed the plans to her parents, but their reaction was shocking. Her mother started crying and ran upstairs. Her father's face went pale as paper. "Maya, promise me you'll leave this alone," he said, his voice shaking. "Some things in this family are better left buried." But Maya couldn't leave it alone. She was haunted by the mystery of the locked room. Every night, she would stand in the hallway, pressing her ear against the wall, trying to hear something, anything that might give her a clue about what was hidden inside. And then, one night at exactly midnight, she heard something that changed everything. Crying. Soft, heartbroken sobbing coming from behind the wall. But it wasn't one person crying. It sounded like many voices, all weeping together in perfect, terrifying harmony. Maya pressed her ear harder against the wall, and suddenly she could hear words mixed in with the crying. "Why did you leave us? We're so cold. We've been waiting so long. Please don't forget us." Maya stumbled backward, her heart pounding. She ran to her parents' room and woke them up. "There are people in that room," she gasped. "I heard them crying." Maya's parents exchanged a look that told her they had been expecting this moment. Her mother sat down on the bed and patted the space beside her. "Maya, it's time you knew the truth about our family, about that room, and about why your grandmother never wanted you to come here." What her mother told her next was more incredible and terrifying than Maya could have imagined. The room had been sealed in 1952 after a tragedy that nearly destroyed their entire family. Maya's great-great-grandmother, Isabella Thompson, had been what people in those days called a memory keeper, someone with a rare ability to absorb and store the memories of dying people. Isabella believed she was doing something beautiful. When people were on their deathbeds, she would hold their hands and allow their most precious memories to flow into her mind, preserving them forever so their stories wouldn't be lost. But she didn't understand the terrible price of this gift. Over the years, Isabella collected the memories of hundreds of people. Their first loves, their greatest joys, their deepest sorrows, their final moments. She stored all of these memories in one special room of the house, using objects and photographs as anchors to keep the memories organized. The room became a kind of library of human experience, filled with the essence of lives that had ended but weren't quite gone. Isabella thought she was creating something wonderful, a place where the dead could live on through their memories. But the memories began to change her. She started experiencing emotions that weren't her own. She would wake up crying about losses she had never suffered, or laughing about jokes she had never heard. Slowly, Isabella was losing herself in the sea of other people's memories. And then, something even more terrible happened. The memories in the room began to develop a consciousness of their own. They realized they were trapped between life and death, neither fully alive nor properly dead. They became angry and desperate, calling out to be released or to have their bodies back. Isabella tried to let them go, but she didn't know how. The memories had become too powerful, too concentrated in that one room. They were like a storm of human experience that couldn't be contained but couldn't be freed. The situation reached a crisis in 1952 when Isabella's own daughter, Maya's great-grandmother Catherine, entered the room against her mother's warnings. Catherine was instantly overwhelmed by hundreds of foreign memories flooding into her mind. She experienced the deaths of strangers, the births of children she never had, the love stories of people she had never met. Within hours, she couldn't remember her own name or recognize her own family. Isabella realized she had created a monster. In desperation, Isabella performed a dangerous ritual she had learned from an old book of folk magic. She poured all of her own life force into the room, using her death to seal the memories inside forever. But the seal came with a curse. Every person in the Thompson bloodline would be able to hear the echoes of the trapped memories, especially at midnight when the boundary between worlds was thinnest. Isabella's final words, written in a letter found after her death, were, "The memories must never be freed. They belong to the dead now, and the dead must stay dead. If the room is ever opened, the memories will seek new hosts, and our family will be lost forever." Catherine recovered her own memories after her mother's death, but she was forever changed. She sealed the room with brick and mortar, hung blessed objects around it, and made every family member promise to never speak of it. The secret had been kept for 70 years. Till now. Maya sat in stunned silence as her mother finished the story. "So the crying I heard. The memories of hundreds of dead people trapped in that room," her mother confirmed. "They can sense you because you have the Thompson bloodline. You probably have Isabella's gift, which means you're in more danger than anyone else." But Maya's curiosity was stronger than her fear. What if they just want to be heard? What if they're not dangerous, just lonely? Her parents begged her to leave it alone, but Maya couldn't stop thinking about the voices behind the wall. They sounded so sad, so desperate. What if her family had been wrong all these years? What if the memories just needed someone to listen? 3 nights later, while her parents were asleep, Maya made a decision that would change everything. She was going to open the room. Maya had found the original entrance to the room in the basement, a hidden door behind the furnace that led to a narrow staircase. The staircase had been sealed with concrete, but Maya spent hours chipping away at it with tools from the garage. Finally, at 11:30 p.m. on a cold November night, she broke through. The staircase was covered in dust and spider webs, but Maya could feel a strange energy pulling her upward. At the top of the stairs was a heavy wooden door with 7 different locks on it. The keys were in an envelope taped to the door, along with a note in Isabella's handwriting. "To whoever finds this, I pray you are stronger than I was. If you open this door, you will experience the last moments of 347 human lives. Are you prepared for that responsibility?" Maya's hands shook as she unlocked each of the 7 locks. With each key that turned, the crying from inside the room grew louder. When the final lock clicked open, the door swung inward on its own, as if the room itself was inviting her inside. What Maya saw took her breath away. The room was beautiful and terrible at the same time. Every inch of the walls was covered with photographs, letters, jewelry, and personal objects. In the center stood an antique mirror that seemed to shimmer with its own light. But the most incredible thing was the presence Maya could feel. The room was full of invisible people, the consciousness of everyone whose memories Isabella had collected. Maya could sense them all around her, pressing close, desperate to be acknowledged. And then, one by one, they began to speak. Not with voices Maya could hear with her ears, but directly into her mind. Each memory was complete and vivid, as if she was experiencing it herself. She felt the joy of a young mother holding her baby for the first time. She experienced the terror of a soldier in the trenches of World War I. She felt the peaceful acceptance of an elderly man taking his final breath surrounded by family. For hours, Maya stood in that room, experiencing life after life after life. She was overwhelmed by the intensity of human experience. All the love, loss, joy, and pain that makes up a human existence. But gradually, she began to understand something her family had missed. These weren't angry spirits or dangerous memories. They were the essence of people who had lived full lives and had stories to tell. They weren't trying to possess anyone or escape into the world of the living. They just wanted to be remembered. Isabella had been wrong about the danger. The memories weren't trying to take over new hosts. They were trying to share their stories so they wouldn't be forgotten forever. As the sun began to rise, Maya realized what she needed to do. These memories needed a storyteller, someone who could honor their lives by sharing their experiences with the world. Maya spent the next month visiting the room every night, learning the stories of the 347 people whose memories were trapped there. She wrote down everything: their names, their lives, their dreams, their final thoughts. There was Margaret, a nurse who had saved dozens of lives during the 1918 flu pandemic. There was Thomas, a jazz musician who had played in speakeasies during Prohibition. There was little Sarah, only 8 years old when she died of pneumonia, but whose imagination had been filled with the most wonderful fairy tales. Each story was unique and precious. Each life had mattered. Maya's parents were terrified when they discovered what she was doing, but Maya showed them her notebooks filled with stories. "They're not dangerous," she insisted. "They're just people who don't want to be forgotten. And I think I know how to help them." Maya's plan was brilliant in its simplicity. She would turn the stories into a book, a collection of short biographies celebrating the lives of ordinary people who had experienced extraordinary things. But more than that, she would find the descendants of these people and share their ancestors' stories with them. Many families had lost touch with their history, had forgotten the amazing lives their great-grandparents and great-great-grandparents had lived. Maya became a detective, tracking down family trees and contacting people around the country. The responses were incredible. "I never knew my great-grandmother was a suffragette," wrote one woman after learning her ancestor's story. "My grandfather never talked about the war," wrote another. "Now I understand why he was such a gentle man. He had seen enough violence for 10 lifetimes." As Maya shared each story, she felt the corresponding presence in the memory room grow lighter and more peaceful. The transformation of the memory room was magical to witness. As each person's story was told and remembered by their living family members, their essence would fade from the room with what Maya could only describe as profound gratitude. The room became brighter, warmer, more peaceful. The desperate crying turned into gentle whispers of thanks. The heavy, oppressive feeling lifted like fog in the morning sun. By spring, only a dozen presences remained in the room. People whose families had been completely lost to time, whose stories had no living descendants to receive them. Maya made these final stories the heart of her book, which she titled Echoes of the Locked Room, Stories from the Space Between Life and Death. The book became a sensation. People around the world were fascinated by the idea that memories could survive death, that the stories of ordinary people could be so powerful and moving. On the 1-year anniversary of opening the room, Maya made her final visit. The space was completely transformed. No longer heavy with trapped souls but peaceful and serene. The antique mirror no longer shimmered with otherworldly energy but reflected only Maya's own face. The last presence in the room was Isabella herself. "Thank you," her great-great-grandmother's voice whispered in Maya's mind. "I spent so many years thinking I had created a prison. But you helped me understand. I had created a library. And every library needs a librarian to share its treasures with the world." Isabella's presence faded with a sense of completion and joy that Maya would never forget. Maya sealed the room again, but this time not out of fear. She sealed it out of respect, creating a memorial to the 347 people whose stories had been preserved there. She placed a plaque on the wall that read, "In memory of lives well lived and stories well told. May we all be remembered with such love." The house on Maple Street was no longer haunted by trapped memories. Instead, it was blessed by the echoes of lives that had been honored, stories that had been shared, and love that had transcended death itself. Maya learned that sometimes the things we fear most, death, forgotten memories, the unknown, are not our enemies but our teachers, showing us what it truly means to live, to remember, and to love. The locked room had held its secrets for 70 years. But some secrets, Maya discovered, are meant to be shared. Some echoes are meant to be heard. And some stories are so powerful that they can heal the space between the living and the dead. This has been another mysterious and emotional journey from Lil Savvy Tales. If Maya's discovery of the memory room and her mission to honor forgotten lives touched your heart, please like this video, subscribe for more incredible mysteries, and share this story with someone who believes that every life has a story worth telling. What memories would you want preserved forever? What stories from your family have been lost to time? Let me know in the comments below. Because every story deserves to be remembered.